إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, before I enter into the subject of this khutbah, I wish to clarify and announce that the khutbah I did last week on the subject of drugs, at the beginning of the khutbah I mentioned that the shooting that took place in Luton was related to the drug issue that I spoke about. But this was incorrect information that had come to me as I had learned subsequently. And Jazakallahu khair to the brothers who rectified this for me. Entering into the subject at hand, brothers, sisters in Islam, what we witnessed on Thursday or Wednesday was an awful event. The world saw a Muslim man, two men, hack and kill a British soldier, and then openly after that explain why they did this. When such a situation comes about, as Muslims who believe in Allah on the last day, the first thing we must do is return the matter to the scholars of Islam, those who are well grounded in the religion, who have the best concern of the Muslims at heart, and seek advice and guidance from them. As Allah Jalla wa Ala, He said, وَإِذَا جَاءَهُمْ أَمْرٌ مِنَ الْأَمْنِ أَوْ الْخَوْفِ أَدَاءُوا بِهِ وَلَوْ رَدُّوهُ إِلَى الرَّسُولِ وَإِلَى أُولِي الْأَمْرِ مِنْهُمْ لَعَلِمَهُ الَّذِينَ يَسْتَنبِطُونَهُ مِنْهُمْ. Which means, and when there comes to them a matter of concern of safety, public safety, they begin to divulge into it, speak about it. Everybody says their opinion. But if only they return the matter to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam and those charged with authority amongst them, meaning the scholars, then the proper investigations would have taken place and they would have extracted the correct opinion and advice for them. Based on this, we contacted the scholars, and they all unanimously have told us that we must refute this evil rhetoric that was uttered by the murderer, and we should expose all those who support such an ideology. They further said that this is the time to polish and cleanse the tarnished name of Islam. They say we must try our best to restore tensions between the Muslims and the non-Muslims. As for the poor, miskin individuals who conducted that barbaric act, Allah Jalla wa Ala has told us about them. قل هل ننبئكم بالأخسرين أعمالا الذين ضل سعيهم في الحياة الدنيا وهم يحسبون أنهم يحسنون الصنعة Say, shall I not inform you of those who are the greatest losers regarding their actions? Those who went astray, working so hard, doing good deeds that were incorrect, or thinking they were doing good deeds, but they were bad deeds. These are the greatest losers. And as preachers, du'ats, callers to Islam, we are not afraid of the blame of the people who will blame us. And we're not afraid to speak the truth and relay the message of Allah. This is about our religion. This is about Quran and the Sunnah. These two individuals attribute to Islam that which is not from it. They said about Islam those things that Islam does not condone. So Allah Jalla wa Ala, He said, الَّذِينَ يُبَلِّغُونَ رِسَالَاتِ اللَّهِ وَيَخْشَوْنَهُ وَلَا يَخْشَوْنَ أَحَدًا إِلَّا اللَّهِ وَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ حَسِيبًا. Those, when they relay the message of Allah, the Quran and the Sunnah, when they relay the message of Allah, they do not fear anyone. They only fear their Lord Allah, and Allah is sufficient for them. We unfortunately are in a position where we have to speak. People ask, why do you have to speak about every situation that happens in the world or in your locality or in England? I say because Allah Jalla wa Ala has ordered us to speak. He said, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَكْتُمُونَ مَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ مِنَ الْبَيِّنَاتِ وَالْهُدَى مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا بَيَّنَّهُ لِلنَّاسِ فِي الْكِتَابِ أُولَٰئِكَ يَلْعَنُهُمُ اللَّهُ وَيَلْعَنُهُمُ اللَّاعِنُونَ. Which means that those who hide or disguise what Allah Jalla wa Ala has revealed in His books from clarity and guidance, after plain guidance has come to the people in the book, from the book, then upon them is the curse of Allah and the curse of all those who curse. We do not want to be of those who are cursed when we know what the truth is and remain silent. We will speak the truth, hoping that you people will listen and make better what we say and pass on what we say better than the way we say it. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, any man who gives a sign of safety to another man, a sign of safety to another man's blood, and then kills him, he, the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said, I am free from this killer, even if the killed is a disbeliever. The killer, the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, is free from him. ومن أجل ذلك كتبنا على بني إسرائيل أنه من قتل نفسا بغير نفس أو فساد في الأرض فكأنما قتل الناس جميعا ومن أحياها فكأنما أحيا الناس جميعا. And for this reason we have prescribed for the people of Israel, for the Bani Israel, that whoever kills one soul unjustly, with undue rights, it is as if he has killed the whole of mankind. And whoever saves a life, it is as though he has saved the whole of mankind. This ayah is not particularly to Muslims only. Whoever saves a Muslim life has saved the whole of mankind. Whoever kills a soul, meaning a Muslim, then he has, as if he has killed the whole of mankind. No, my brothers, no. It is general. Whoever kills a soul means Muslim or non-Muslim. It is as though he has killed the whole of mankind. This is how severe in Islam it is to spill blood, whoever it may be. Let us look at the words of this evil terrorist, the one or the two who killed that soldier. They said, we killed this British soldier because British British soldiers are killing Muslims in our lands. I think the whole world witnessed that statement. And I don't think any of us would disagree that that is what he justified his actions by. I say in response that this is the danger that comes with ignorance. This is what happens when little knowledge is used to justify everything. This is what happens when you turn away from the scholars and take knowledge from the youth and the young ones. This is what happens, my brothers, when you become over-emotional, full of anger and hatred, and you swerve away from justice. You say these statements: that we killed this man because he's a soldier, and the British soldiers are killing the Muslims in our lands. What justification is this when Allah Jalla wa Ala said in the Quran? وَإِنْ اسْتَنْصِرُوكُمْ فِي الدِّينِ فَعَلَيْكُمُ النَّصْرُ إِلَّا عَلَىٰ قَوْمٍ بَيْنَكُمْ وَبَيْنَهُمْ مِيثَاقٌ وَاللَّهُ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ بَصِيرٌ. Which means, and if they seek your aid and help, meaning the oppressed Muslims in other lands, فَعَلَيْكُمُ النَّصْرُ, then Allah said it's an obligation upon you to aid them and help them, free them from oppression. But then he brings an exception in the very next ayah. إِلَّا عَلَىٰ قَوْمٍ بَيْنَكُمْ وَبَيْنَهُمْ مِيثَاقٌ. Except for those Muslims who have an agreement between them and the oppressors. And Allah is watching all that you do. Brothers, move forward. So these brothers standing up and coming, Jazakumullah khair. So where was he from this understanding? His people didn't teach him this. Rather, those who do teach these things, or these correct opinions, as we explained here, are labeled as Saudi lovers, are labeled as government scholars, are labeled as salafs, are labeled as MI5 agents, and so on and so forth. So will you then label Imam Shafi'i? Because he also had this statement. I'll come to that in a second. Those who want to enter into a war with a transgressing enemy, if they want to bring war on the streets of London or anywhere, they want to fight these British soldiers, they must first inform them. They have to inform the other side clearly, without any cloudy words whatsoever, that they are in absolute war with them, that they no longer want to keep this pact or agreement of peace and safety with them, and then they can go and do what they want to do. In Islam, we are not allowed to be treacherous people. These are not my words. These are the words of Allah Jalla wa Ala. He said, وَإِن مَا تَخَافَنَّ مِنْ قَوْمٍ خَيَّانَةً فَأَنْبِلْ إِلَيْهِمْ عَلَى سَوَاءٍ إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ الْخَائِنِينَ. And if you fear treachery from a people, meaning you think these people are no good, then clearly denounce any obligations you have with them. Verily, Allah does not love the treacherous. Those two killers were ignorant, treacherous people. And they displayed Islam and Muslims to be treacherous. We are not that. We follow what Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam has ordered us. Imam Shafi'i gave an example. You know Imam Shafi'i, one of the greatest scholars of Islam. In his ruling, in his book Al-Umm, he said, in a situation where a group of Muslims entered a land of war under an agreement of safety, in that war, the people at war with the Muslims they took some Muslim women and girls as slaves and prisoners. And you know what these non-believers do with Muslim female prisoners. So he's describing a situation. Some Muslims entered a land of war, but they entered with an agreement. They entered a situation of war, but with an agreement of safety. We won't harm you, you won't harm us. And then that aggressive enemy, whilst the other Muslims were there in the land, they took the women and they took the children as captives, as prisoners. The Muslims who, he goes on to say, Imam Shafi'i, the Muslims who entered under the agreement cannot fight these people. The Muslims who entered in that agreement cannot fight these people who they had an agreement of safety with. They have to hold back until they make it explicitly clear to them that we negate the agreement of safety. And after that, they should then give them warning. So they make it clear and then they give them warning. We're going to attack you. We're going to do this and that. If the safety agreement is then broken and made clear, they are able to fight them. As for the period of when they had security agreements, then they are not allowed to fight them. That young soldier that was killed was walking the streets believing he is safe from the hands of the Muslims, believing that there's an agreement, a pact. They come in this country, they live here, they take housing benefits, they take social security, they work with us, they're on the streets going shopping for their needs every single day. They're not giving me any word whatsoever that they're going to attack me, they're going to harm me, that I'm at danger, nothing whatsoever. So he thinks everything's at peace. Yes, he's a British soldier, but he thinks he's in a situation of peace, and those two treacherous people led this soldier to believe that. Then after that, they butcher him and they kill him. What kind of murderous, treacherous individuals are they? Another of his statements, he said, we are forced by many verses in the Quran, like that in Surah Tawbah, he said, and many other verses that say we must fight them, and so we have to fight them. He said this. We heard this clearly. And he means by that the ayah, وَقَاتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ الَّذِينَ يُقَاتِلُونَكُمْ. It's in Baqarah actually. Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and fight those in the way of Allah who fight you. And he said this. He said, they're fighting us, so we fight them. An eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Even though that particular verse is in the Bible and not in the Quran. In the Quran it's got a different narration, a different verse, a different wording. But he forgets the next half of the verse, which he quoted, which he meant to quote, which was وَلَا تَعْتَدُوا وَلَا تَعْتَدُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ الْمُعْتَدِينَ. And do not transgress, for verily Allah does not love the transgressors. And we have already made it clear how that was a transgression. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, any man who gives a sign of safety to another man's blood and then kills him, I am free from that killer, even if the killed is a disbeliever. Imam Ahmed, Shaykh Albani made this sahih. وَمَا تَخَافَنَّ مِنْ قَوْمٍ خَيَانَةً فَانْبِذْ إِلَيْهِمْ عَلَى سَوَاءٍ إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ الْخَائِنِينَ. And if you fear treachery from a people, harm from a people, who you have an agreement with them, then denounce the obligation of the agreement. Cut it off, make it clear. And Allah does not love the treacherous. Lead them to believe one thing and then take their souls. How evil a thought and evil an idea and evil a corruption this is. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين. الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم أما بعد. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he said, abstain from the 7 most awesome sins. And then he began to list the sins. It was said, O Messenger of Allah, what are these 7 most awesome sins? He said, from them, making partners with Allah Jalla wa Ala, and magic, and killing an innocent soul. An innocent soul is a person who has not harmed you, has not taken your wealth, who has not harmed you, has not taken your honor or your wealth. An innocent soul is also a person who you have given a sign of safety to. An innocent person is a person whom you have not made clear to that you're going to fight him and kill him. This is an innocent soul in an Islam, my brothers. Ali ibn anhu, he narrated that the Prophet ﷺ said, Muslim protection is equal for all. Even the lowest of them carry it out. So whoever violates one who was given sanctuary by a Muslim, then upon him is the curse of Allah, the angels, and all the people. Allah will not accept from him a single good deed or justice. Brothers, reflect on this hadith. The hadith states that Muslim protection is equal for all. What that means is, you can give protection to a non-Muslim, and then all of us in this room have to abide by it. Him at the back can give protection to a non-Muslim, then every Muslim has to accept this and abide by it. Muslim protection is equal for all. Whether you're a government leader and you say, these people, non-Muslims in this land are under my protection, they're safe, or I've given them a sign of safety, then everybody has to accept this. Or whether you're just a pauper and you give a sign of safety, the government has to accept it. Every Muslim has to accept this. Even the lowest of them carried out the Messenger ﷺ said. Now listen. Then he said, and so whoever violates one who has given sanctuary by a Muslim, then the curse of Allah, the angels, and all the people is upon them. These two individuals who killed that British soldier, they violated the signs that we gave to all the non-Muslims. They violated the sign that all of us gave, all the Muslims of UK gave to all the non-Muslims in UK, that we will live in peace and aman and safety here. And if they try to say, well, I never gave no peace, you haven't given no signs, by the bare fact you are cooperating with this government, cooperating with your neighbours, being kind to them and everything, these are the signs. You don't have to make an official document where you write down, I am at safety and peace with you. No. The Messenger ﷺ said in another hadith, whoever gives a sign to an enemy, and these are not enemies around us, the non-Muslims here are not enemies, but whoever gives a sign to an enemy with his hand, like this, and he meant by it is understood by both, just by that sign, I am at safety with you, you are safe with me, then if you violate it, then the curse of Allah, the angels, and the whole of mankind is upon you. That's that kind of a sign. We have done far much more than that living in this society, for not just years, but decades living here. My brothers, we ask Allah Jalla wa Ala to give the Muslims knowledge, and make them sincere in seeking knowledge, and root out hatred from their hearts against people who may well not like them, but we are not allowed to be unjust to those people that we dislike. وَلَا يَجْرِمَنَّكُمْ شَنَآنَ قَوْمٍ عَلَىٰ أَنْ تَعْدِلُوا اِعْدِلُوا هُوَ أَقْرَبُ لِلتَّقْوَى. And do not let your dislike for a people make you unjust to them. Be just, that is closer to taqwa. How will Islam spread? How will it reach the far corners of this earth? Brothers, bear in mind the narration from Ibn Abbas, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, where he said, I'm just paraphrasing the meaning here, that in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the disbelievers, the enemies who hated Islam, hated Rasulullah, hated the companions, who wanted to put out the light of Islam, they used to wait and wait and wait for Muslims to break their oaths and agreements. They used to wait earnestly for Muslims in the time of Rasulullah to give up the oath of aman and safety. And then when they would do this, they would then beat them and torture them, and they would come down on them so hard, saying, look, these are the Muslims who make oaths and then they break them. Let us take a lesson from this, my brothers. and value the situation we are in. So number one, if we are at peace, we cannot harm anybody. Or if you have an aman and a treaty, an agreement, then we can't harm anybody. Number two is that if you want to harm somebody, if you become mentally deviated in your understanding, you want to cause some harm to somebody, then the first thing you do is you make that clear, I'm going to harm you. And number two, any agreement that we have between us and you is finished. And then you'll see what happens to you. Within 24 hours you'll be locked up in prison, sent to Guantanamo Bay, and that will be the end of you. Do you think that this country is going to leave anybody in this land without an agreement of peace and safety? Do you think for a minute, when you announce this intention of yours, are they going to leave you to just carry on going to the shops, feeding your families? They'll be there the same night to take you away, put you on the first plane, drive you out. Why should you expect any difference? This is their land. This is our land. We live here. We want peace. We don't want no harm. We don't want war. We ask Allah Jalla wa'ala to guide all the Muslims aright. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر لي ولكم السلام المسلمين وأقم الصلاة.